High Spots and Cheap Pops presents your moment in the Valley. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Silicon Steve Valli, and we are on the heels of Night of Champions. A lot of crazy things happened. The biggest thing happened. Jimmy Uso, didn't take him too long to turn on the tribal chief, to turn on the bloodline. Jey Uso didn't look like he was too sure about what to think about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about that match and the other two main events. We're not going to talk about the entire card because there's a lot of stuff to get to today in terms of professional wrestling. Of course, we have AEW Double or Nothing tonight. But I got to start with Jimmy, and I got to be honest with you guys, there's not a lot of times that happen in the world of pro wrestling anymore that I actually get excited and I pop, as they say. Obviously, I'm in my house, but I'm like, yeah! And Jimmy Uso delivered that moment for me last night. I literally got up off my bed and said, hell yeah! And then that great moment where Jey Uso was trying to plead with him, like, what are you doing? After he already gave the original super kick to Roman, right after Roman pushed Jey Uso's head, Jimmy Uso, he had previously had his head pushed last week, had his head pushed today, and Jimmy Uso has been very, very clear since he came back from that injury. He was going to be nobody's bitch. Even when Jey Uso was having his moments where he didn't know if he was going to stick with the bloodline, there were rumors he might go with Sami Zayn. Even then, when Roman challenged Jimmy, he held his ground. I remember one time Roman said, where's your brother Jey? And he was kind of a dick about it, and Jimmy said, I told you. Not really backing down from Roman. And I think what's something that has gotten completely lost in the shuffle was when Jimmy first came back, Jimmy didn't take any shit from Roman. Jimmy basically compromised for what he thought was best for the Usos. Roman caved and gave the Usos an opportunity to be tag team champions after he cost them a tag team championship match by getting them disqualified. He got him another shot. They, of course, won the tag team championships, and then the bloodline started their real dominance as a complete unit. But Jimmy never said, I acknowledge you, tribal chief. He has never acknowledged Roman Reigns. And, of course, he brought up when Jimmy was out with the injury, Roman attacked him to get Jey Uso to say I quit in their famous I Quit match. This is the reality, folks. Jimmy Uso has never acknowledged Roman Reigns as the head of the table. Not the way that Solo and, of course, Jey did. He never looked him in the eye and said, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. Never said it. And Jimmy, not like Jey, leaving us months and months and months wondering if Jay's going to have too much and finally snap. Well, Jimmy didn't waste too much time after last week, the first push of the head. And then this week, when they all put their ones up, Jey Uso put his one up, Solo put his one up, Heyman, Roman, but Jimmy stayed in the back in the corner looking pissed off. The Usos came down, interfered in this tag team match. Of course, it was Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And the referee went down. The Usos came out unwarranted, seemingly against the tribal chief Roman Reigns' wishes. And that pissed Roman Reigns off because they accidentally kicked Solo Sikoa. Roman gets back in the ring and starts screaming at both of them. And then he said, day one is over. He's screaming at Jey, day one is over, after he pushed Jimmy's head back. Well, that was enough for Jimmy. Jimmy takes the super kick to Roman Reigns, and then one of my favorite moments, while Jey was pleading with Jimmy to ask him why he's doing what he's doing, Jimmy said, I did what you should have done a long time ago. And then he said, I got you. And then he kicked Roman right in his face one more time. A deliberate defiance of the tribal chief, bringing the bloodline to their knees. As we know, Roman Reigns goes to the outside, the Usos bail, and then Kevin and Sami attack, both hitting their finishers, a stunner, and then a helluva kick on Sikoa. They get the victory going off. Sami Zayn was over big in this. The other part of this, which kind of got lost in the shuffle, Sami Zayn comes out and in the traditional Muslim garb. As many of you probably know, Sami is a Muslim and a very beautiful man, and he actually made his way to Mecca. And so he was able to come out. Not too often you see, especially a guy, a ginger of all people from Canada, coming out and speaking the people's language in Saudi Arabia. He was over like Rover, came out with the traditional garb, and they go off air with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn bragging to an upset, perturbed Roman Reigns as Jimmy Uso has done it, the unthinkable, and he has brought the bloodline into utter chaos and turmoil. We were begging someone to do it out of the Usos, and it was pretty clear early that Jimmy was not going to be anybody's bitch like he promised Roman Reigns the night he came back on May 7th 2021 when he replaced a then exiled Daniel Bryan from WWE. I encourage everyone to really go back and look at the Jimmy Uso stuff when he first came back and the things that were said to Roman Reigns. That's going to play a big role into what we're going to see over the next several weeks. But this story really got lost in the shuffle. Also, by the way, if you fast forward through everything else, because Vince McMahon's idiocy was all over it. What a disaster. They had a 10-man tag match. And they had this bit in the back with Sami Zayn, Ted Theodore Long, and Sonya Deville, and they're all doing, it was just a bad bit. And at the end, it just ended with all of them doing Teddy Long's dance. And it was just, you could just see Vince McMahon, look at them, pal. And it was terrible. But if you can get through that, look at the bloodline stuff when Jimmy comes back. Very, very important. If you don't remember what was said and everything that went down, Jimmy has had this beef brewing for a long time, and I congratulate you. And Jimmy, thank you for giving me that great moment. Other two matches, we had Brock Lesnar and, of course, Cody Rhodes. Great match. It didn't waste a lot of time to get into the deep waters in terms of violence. Cody was able to make it a fair fight to a certain extent, using the titanium arm guard that he had on his broken arm. But Brock Lesnar does get the victory. He gets Cody to pass out in the Kimura lock. Brock Lesnar wins a much-needed victory, completely protects Cody Rhodes, still looks like $1 million. And look, Brock Lesnar was 2-6 in 8 singles matches since last year, since 2022. Lesnar needed a victory because he was kind of losing a lot. And I know it was to Lashley or Roman most of those times, but he has lost a lot. So he needed this victory very much so to kind of reclaim that beast situation. And Cody looked like $1 million losing. Was a really good match, I felt. Again, it wasn't a clinic in terms of professional wrestling. Neither one of those two matches were. That's not why you're looking at those matches. You're looking at those matches for the violence. You're looking at those matches for the fight. You're looking at those matches for the drama. And all members of both matches sold their asses off, particularly Lesnar and Cody. They both were just fantastic. A lot of good old school parts of this. I think Brock Lesnar respects Cody for that because Lesnar came up right at the tail end of the Attitude Era. So Lesnar's a little bit of a throwback as well. Really a great match, but nothing that we didn't expect. I think both me and Valadi Dottie thought that Lesnar was going to win this match, and we thought he was going to win it based on the fact, look, Cody goes in with a broken arm. It's one thing with a torn pec doing the Hell in the Cell against Seth Rollins, but this is Brock Lesnar. You have a broken arm. There is no reason that Lesnar should have lost that match, but they made it cool, and they made it a possibility as Cody started using his arm as a weapon, which was able to get him a leg up on Brock Lesnar. And finally, we're going to talk about the World Heavyweight Championship match. Not going to lie to you folks, this is a secondary title. They proved it to you. They put it on first. Was it a very, very good wrestling match? Yes. I don't think it over-delivered because you had the two best workers in the company. They had a very good match for them. Again, I have to use the Rollins AJ Styles curve. If this was Miz against Morrison, 17-star match. But this is AJ Styles and Seth Rollins. It opened the match, would put a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, you could have put that second to last as well. They didn't, which tells you the star power they look as Cody Rhodes and the star power of the Bloodline. But it goes on first. Very good match for what they do. The finish wasn't tremendous. They could have maybe done something a little cooler, but a great match overall. A very good match for them. A great match overall. But again, this is a secondary title, and this didn't do anything to change my opinion of that. I'm glad Seth Rollins gets the victory. Again, this is the workers' title. This is equatable to what the Intercontinental Championship was back in the late 80s, early 90s, when it was the true workman's title. Right, Honky Tonk Man? But it was a great match. You got to give them credit. You're two of the best ever that'll ever step in the ring. Certainly the two best in WWE right now. And now Seth Rollins has something that he can really work with. He's over like Rover as a babyface. I didn't want to spend too much time in this match because, again, we knew Seth was winning. We knew it was going to be a really good match. The big difference here is the first two matches, in my estimation, the Cody Rhodes match with Brock Lesnar, and then the Bloodline versus KO and Sammy. Those two matches over-delivered. This match either delivered or slightly under-delivered. That's the big difference. But again, I'm also bitter because you put that match on first. I don't think it should have been. You could have done a couple different things first. You really could have. You could have even done Cody and Brock Lesnar first. But again, they're going for star power. They're going for who the crowd's going to be into more, I guess. But they also might want to say, hey, let's start out with a heavy banger. But again, for many people, this was the most anticipated match. I'm talking about Seth and AJ, and for it to go on first after the interview AJ cut about it being a secondary title. There is no doubt this World Heavyweight Championship is a secondary title. Nobody will ever convince me otherwise. And that's what we had. Thank you for watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. Please hit the subscribe button, and please shoot us a message, comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. Be good to each other.